Moving on from this. We're going to get into a good one here. Fiction or fact? I'm going to go to Seb first on this. Martin's Odegaard injury could be a blessing in disguise. Eze in the cam role with Martinelli or Trossard on the left gives Arsenal more balance.
I find it slightly ironic that now people are going, oh, Martinelli's going to get all this freedom, considering a lot of Arsenal fans are like, they didn't think he was good enough and he should be gone anyway. I don't think it can be ever a blessing for one of your best players to go out injured. I think that's such an absurd thing to think. The first time we saw Eze and Odegaard start, he unfortunately got injured immediately. And I thought he was fantastic when he came on against Newcastle. So we are going to miss him, in my opinion, because Eze and Odegaard are very different players. It's not like we're doing a straight swap. Oh, Odegaard's out injured and then he's getting replaced. They're very different profiles, and you want both of them in the squad. You want to mix up. You don't want the opposition to predict what you're going to do. So I think having him out injured is not good. I think if you're being nuanced, you might go, yeah, it's better for Eze because he's now going to get to play in his position he wants to play. So I can see from that, yes, it could be a benefit for Eze in particular, but from an Arsenal fan point of view, no, I don't think so, because I think Odegaard at this moment in time is better than Eze. I'd rather have Odegaard starting over Eze in that midfield. I'd rather Eze on the left, but yeah, I don't think it's a good thing, and I just don't get it. It's like Odegaard a couple of seasons ago, everyone was having conversations with him in the De Bruyne category, and then he has one slightly off year last year, and now all of a sudden people think he's crap. And so I don't think ever having someone of such a high caliber being injured could ever be a good thing, even if it could be a good thing for Eze. I personally am not happy about it at all.
Who wants to go next? Could this be a blessing in disguise?
I'll go next. I mean, considering I'm the other resident gooner in the panel, I agree with what Seb is saying completely. I actually, the Odegaard disrespect for me is, I'm just kind of getting sick of it, to be honest. Like, a blessing in disguise. Look, you could take it one or two ways, because I just think that Arsenal squad right now is so good that we might not miss Odegaard as much as we would have a year ago. But that being said, I would rather have both Odegaard and Eze together on the pitch. I want to have Eze on the left, Saka on the right, Odegaard through the middle, which I still haven't got to see yet. I'm going to have to wait even longer to have to see it. I agree with what Steph said. All of a sudden, we think that Martinelli or Trossard, who we wanted to both get sold in the summer, are now the answer. For me, that opens up another issue for Arsenal to look in the summer. I was talking about this with Cal the other day, which is like, it creates an interesting dichotomy, which now all of a sudden is, we still have an issue on the left-hand side. We still, we have very much have that void there that we thought we filled when we signed Eze. Now that Odegaard is out. So you sign Odegaard, you move Eze away from that space, and now you have that space open again. So I don't know. I don't know if necessarily it's a blessing in disguise. I just think that we haven't really had Odegaard most of the season now anyway. So now we're going to pretend like this longer term injury is more of a blessing than it was the shorter term injuries. Because I just think we're just going to get a lot of the same that we've had so far this season. With the other thing being that the other players around Eze are going to be more used to playing with him at this point, so it may click, but got nothing to do with Odegaard being out.
Well, I think when I was at the Emirates watching the West Ham game and you saw him go down, most of the stadium was like, that's bad, that's terrible, that's not good. So the fan reaction from inside the ground tells me that most Arsenal fans, I would presume, I think it's one of those things again where if you see the headline going, oh, Odegaard's out injured, that's so good, everyone's going to be like, what? So it starts a discussion. But when you have your best creator injured, people were praising Arsenal's squad depth, and it is good. We have one of the best squad depths, but your squad depth gets worse when you do have injuries, because what happens now if Eze does pick up an injury?
Yeah, Ethan, but...
So it's just like, it's crazy for me. That's like going to, with Manchester City, obviously Rodri was out injured a lot of the time, and I think they've been all right. But it's just like, no one's happy he's going to be out injured. You don't have such a high caliber player and go, oh, super good, he's out injured. United's not going to go, oh, it's really good and Mbuemo's injured because now Mason Mount's been really good this season. He can get some more minutes. It's not how it works. We have so many competitions. I wanted to see them play together. So the fact that he's injured, I cannot see that now. We've only seen it for 20 minutes. That's terrible. It's awful.
The funny thing is that like this season, every single time Odegaard's been out, Arteta's turned to Mikel Merino to start, which have created other problems for Arsenal. So it's like we're all going to be expecting Eze to be great, but then the lineup comes out on Saturday, and it's like Mikel Merino is in the 10.
Yeah. That is what's going to happen, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw something out. I did some content on this earlier on today, and I first saw some gooners sort of tweeting about this, and I was like, it felt like celebrating someone getting injured, and I'm like, no, that's wrong. But then I did have a think about the silver linings, and I thought about a few things that could help you, and I think it could. How you get through this period with no Odegaard could help you win the league.
Mm-hmm.
And my rationale for that is this. One, there's this kind of how do I say? There is a narrative around Eze not being played in his best position, which is central. And Arteta might even succumb to this in moments of pressure of, who do I pick today? I don't want to go with both him and Odegaard playing a good team. Will he just side with Odegaard and not give Eze the chance? And then if you don't win or if something goes wrong, the pressure mounts, the Arteta outers get on their bandwagon and all of that. And I think it kind of gives you a period. I know you'd rather have him on the bench, and I do agree with that. But Eze is going to get a run in the position that a lot of people wanted to see him in now because of this. I also think where it may help you, and by the way, again, him fit or injured, you guys should always pick fit. Him being fit is great. One of the things that I've noticed a little different reading the responses to all the big posts that he's out is the lack of panic from Arsenal fans. And I think if you can get through a period with him out, win most of your games, stay top of the league, I think not only the fans, but the squad coming through that bit of adversity, I think true belief will set in that you can win the league. And that for me is the positive, the silver lining in a bad situation. And again, I hope I don't have to sit here and explain what a silver lining means. It means it's a very grey cloud, but there's a silver lining. And I think there often is. And adversity often creates opportunity, not just for Eze to get more game time, but actually someone on the left like Martinelli, who I think has been brilliant since he's been dropped. It gives him an opportunity to fight harder for his place. When there he might get a little bit of game time. Could he step up and actually have a really good month, 6 weeks, where he's delivering? And you're saying, wow, Odegaard's coming back. And I don't see how he gets into the team right now, as brilliant as he is. So I think there is
by the way, we're good for Odegaard, by the way, because I find that when Odegaard is out with injuries, like we've had it, this is the third time he's been out with an injury, that Arteta just throws him right back in. It's better for Odegaard when he comes back that he doesn't get thrown right back into the fire, and then we can possibly get injured again. It's
No, I hear you. And again, I want to be very, very clear that I'm not stating that it's good that he's injured, but I'm just looking at this and thinking to myself, I think there can be some good that potentially comes out of this. Comes out of it for you. As much as it would be much better to have him fit and in the squad, I just thought of those couple of areas because the Arteta out is the key here. Because the Arteta outers don't want you to win the league, by the way. They'll say they do not want you to win the league. They are so invested in being right that Arteta isn't good enough. They're looking for an angle right now, and these men are starving. They're starving, and I think one of their angles that they probably had written down on a notepad. We could start this because they tried to blame your manager for his shoulder injury. They tried to blame him for the MCL injury. But I had this feeling they were going to start this narrative of, he's starting Odegaard too much. He should be on the... It's gone now. It takes a narrative away. And I do think one thing that hinders your club is the kind of internal fighting and the player versus player wars that certain fans create. And I think it removes this and it's only a small period of time. I know it's 9 games, but that's because you're playing 2 games a week as an example. It's actually only sort of 4 weeks of football and he'll be back. It's not like he's missing for 2 or 3 months. But Luke, what are you saying, bro? What's your view on this, mate?
Well, I've never really got this, Odegaard's shit. I've never, he's a very good midfielder, I'm not saying those Kevin De Bruyne comparison, by the way. I'm not doing that because I'm sort of like I've got to see him win leagues and trophies before I start calling him, put him in a Kevin De Bruyne conversation. But that's a different topic. But without Odegaard, I don't think we realise how good he actually is when he plays. Like, I know obviously he's had a lot of criticism in the last couple of years of not being creative enough and not scoring enough. But I think this season, especially when I watched him, he's been a lot better. He is getting better. I think I have more responsibility on him to do it. Like, I watched him for Norway as well. I know he has Holden up front, best striker in the world. Of course, he's going to be doing really well with him up front. But the fact is, I think Odegaard, for me, without Odegaard in your team, that's one less creative player in your team. And when you're playing like Marino, Rice, as a Mendy midfield, there's no creativity there at all.
Zubimendi, I would argue, is very creative, but
yeah, but you know what I mean. Like he's good at it, but he's not like what as Odegaard probably you want more out of. But the fact is, like we haven't got that like outlet of a player like Odegaard who can run forward with the ball and get the ball towards the attackers. So I think Eze is a good player. But I rate Eze very highly, but there's a lot of pressure on him to actually deliver. Now this is where it starts for him. Now, like you have to start obviously proving yourself. Now I'm sure he will. I'm sure, but I'm not sort of saying he won't. But you rather have your squad depth. Like again, we know it ourselves. Like having no Shirky and Marmouche for the last like month, or we got through it. I'd rather them players on the bench. To give Haaland a rest. Bring on Marmouche. Bring on Foden, who more recently. Get on a Shirky to get some game time. Obviously they're back now, which is great for us. A bit more depth to our squad. But squad depth, especially when we get into it now, as you know now, lads, obviously being in UCL and the League Cup and the Premier League a bit more now, it's hard. Going for a title race, like you need to have everyone fit as much as possibly can, because when the games start stacking up, the League Cup games start coming in as well, along with the actual Champions League games. That squad depth is huge in going for a title. So
yeah,
it can't be seen as it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's a player injured. It's a key player injured, and
very good.
Yeah, you got Eze in there, but if he gets injured, then what? Like
that's what Seb was saying. Yeah,
a lot of it is about any injury is a bad injury. It is like that's how I look at it. So
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you. And David says here, losing any player to injury is bad news. It's shocking that anybody would celebrate that or feel a squad benefits from it, as mentioned in a previous comment. Look, I think I agree with part of what you're saying. I don't think there's anything wrong in life, having a bad situation, having adversity and saying, right, what benefits could we get out of this? What could we learn from this? How could it improve? For instance, Marcus Rashford at Man United, if it hadn't have been for injuries, he wouldn't have got his chance. And he had some brilliant days and games for us. This has happened before in football. A player gets an opportunity because of injuries and they don't look back. You even look at the youngsters that are currently in the Arsenal team. If it hadn't been for some injuries and for some big signings not working, two things that you would never wish for, they may not have got their openings and their opportunities in the squad as early or at all. And that's the way things go. So one person's misfortune can be another person, can open a door for somebody else. So I don't
one thing I remember though, I'll let you finish. No. The thing is, what Luke was saying earlier, I've actually just been thinking about it. When De Bruyne was out, the year that they beat us to the title by 2 points, he was out for a very big period of time. What was the big, like, I was wondering, like, does Foden have the season that he had that year if it wasn't for that spell of injury for De Bruyne? I'm just curious, because I see a little bit of a similarity here.
But it's very true. Yes, it's true, and he may or may not have done. But equally, what I think it did show City is that City knew they could win Premier Leagues without KDB. So when David here says, I wouldn't say celebrate it, but in terms of benefit, it depends on how you react to it. I think one of the things that went wrong for Arsenal last year, and I get they weren't happy with their squad depth, was the media, their rivals, and their own fans. When that Odegaard and Saka injury happened, it was, we're fucked, we're done. And that attitude, you're never winning anything. I don't see that right now. Coming through a spell of a few injuries and maintaining quality and the squad depth being tested and passing that test, I think that can inject a new sense of belief into a team. So again, I don't think any Arsenal fan should celebrate that they're testing it, but it's an opportunity to test it. And I think you're always going to get injuries in a season. It's probably better to get them at this stage for a few weeks than it is.
Look at the fixtures we got coming up, Terry.
Yeah,
we've got. I mean, outside of in the Champions League, we got in the Premier League. We got Fulham, Palace, Brighton, and Burnley and Sunderland. That's before the next international break, which then afterwards we're going to have obviously Spurs and Chelsea and Bayern off the back of that, which what we would want, like Odegaard, potentially Madueke and Havertz all fit when they come back at that point. But at this point, I think Eze actually is probably well built for those types of opponents because he's a little bit more direct than Odegaard. So it's maybe a chance for Arsenal to use a different avenue of breaking down some of these teams by having a player like an Eze who can create stuff on his own in terms of chances. He's a lot more aggressive. He takes shots. Like, for instance, Arsenal's opener against West Ham, a team that we've struggled to break down. We were sitting at 0-0. Eze takes a shot which is deflected, which falls to Rice. That's a different form of creativity. It's a bit more of a, front-footed, aggressive form of creativity, which is rather than the Odegaard, which is like, let's try to move around, let's try to find spaces, let's be careful about, taking a shot here because it might mean that they're going to get the possession back, which is sort of the way I felt Arsenal played in games like that. So now we can try a different route now. Like
more of a risk taker, isn't he? At the end of the day, he's going to take shots from outside the box. Odegaard is very resistant from taking shots from outside the box. So if anything, that is if you talk about silver linings, that is a silver lining because we got an easier run. Eze can flourish in those games. So, and Odegaard, people started to get frustrated with Odegaard is because we kept recycling possession, and Odegaard would have such high passing success rate and high passes because we did circulate the ball a lot, and Eze's just not going to do that. So if you want to think like that, then that's fine.
And being aggressive leads to what Arsenal like to do the most: win corners.
Get that set piece goal percentage up, David.